coming in on the 2nd of October. Brown is a 25-year-old to 35-year-old young gentleman. So obviously, so we have a couple scenarios. This is a young gentleman who is a laborer. And he comes in. Somebody might have said, you can come because I know that construction company XYZ, they've been hiring and they seem to have a preference for non-Bajans because they say they can pay them less or whatever, or they can't find Barbadians to do the work. What does he do? Does he turn up on a job site and say, John Brown, present, please, I'm here from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Here's my passport. Or do I have to go and do something? What happens? Do I register with national insurance? No. Another issue, Marcia, because every time you think there's something else, national insurance, if he gets hired, is he getting hired as an employee where the employer deducts national insurance, or is he going to be treated like they're treating many people
the contract worker,
a contract worker, self-employed? So in essence, does he even bother to register with national insurance? But he's entitled to health care, and he can send for children to go to school.
So it's so many, and it's interesting that they have left out very key pieces of information, but then all you have to do is to deduce that if you need if you can open a bank account, you're going to need an ID. All right, and if you have an ID, you can vote. So they need to just stop the nonsense. Someone, Africa Bridge TV Network, what are the obligations of the sending country? Do they screen persons leaving before they are allowed to migrate? Do they get certain tests or pre-qualified, or tests to be are pre-qualified to migrate? As Ms. McClean is getting ready to answer that, let me remind people that you can call 236-7000. Go ahead, Ms. McClean.
It is free movement. And so on a person coming to Barbados right now, as a holiday visitor from CARICOM, even if that individual is coming for a wedding over the weekend, they're entitled to 6 months. Nobody asks them whether you got TB or whatever the case may be or whatever. I mean, if there's a medical emergency, you will probably see certain measures, as you saw with COVID or some of the other illnesses that they had when you, I'm trying to remember the names of some of them, where you had to put your shoes in some solution or whatever. But there's no, as again, I say no unless we are told otherwise, but we've been told nothing. But I don't know that there are any obligations of the sending country. No, it's free movement.
Yes.
You know, and you're supposed to be moving like a citizen. So in other words, when I leave Barbados to go to Belize, I am doing that as a Belizean going home or going, you know. So I go there and I carry a Barbados passport. And then, so based on that, then I am part of the 4-country arrangement.
Yes.
But the question is, what will they require? I was trying to say, if I couldn't find anything, but if they're meeting, it means that they probably haven't decided. No, I think.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying what that reinforces the point that we need to have information to analyze what happens and to talk to us. I mean, because as I said, the IMO's information, those numbers were estimates.
Yes.
We have, and the thing is, you come into Barbados, you leave Barbados, that information is on an IT system, which should suggest that generation of statistics would be easier than it would have been in years past, where you had to do these things manually, count up slips of paper, you know, returns and so on.
Yeah,
I think one of the questions was asked, why only the 4? But if you think about it, there are a number of concerns that are, I would say, held in common, and the whole. There's a concern that, a reality that there's certain economic disparities between the individual member states of CARICOM.
Yes.
And I've always contended that the focus really should be on making sure that you maximize the creation of opportunities for citizens.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Guyana, I mean, Guyana now is complaining that they are seeing an influx of illegal immigrants coming across that would be their northern, where are they? That would be south. Yes. Brazil, for example, I'm trying to locate my map in my head, because they share a significant border space with Brazil. Then, of course, with all the challenges that are happening in Venezuela, they've had that. So people are coming into Guyana in numbers that are unprecedented. The challenge that Guyana had, notwithstanding its massive land space and significant natural resources, now they are considered the I suppose the creme de la creme when it comes to oil recovery, oil, and so they're producing significantly. So that's one of the concerns, the whole strain on social services.
Yes.
And I'll be frank, I think some countries are comfortable with the arrangements that exist now, because it allows their citizens, particularly those who are finding it difficult to secure employment, are the ones who tend to seek greener pastures. And that's why, for example, you see, um, in retail and so on, there's an increasing number of Jamaicans. A lot of Guyanese were around in construction. I understand you're finding more Jamaicans. What has happened?
But
Guyanese have been able to go back home. Mhm.
yes.
I actually haven't been writing. No, I think generally the I would say that Barbadians, listening to Barbadians, people are concerned that we have no definitive information provided by government. We have no statistics, and I keep emphasizing statistics on movement in and out of Barbados, categories of persons moving, the impact that it is having on critical social services. I think you have a call.
Exploited? That's my second question. I'll listen, but I listen.
No, I don't know that. The only way you can ensure not the no exploitation of workers is to do inspections, etc., and to monitor. Now, you mentioned the whole issue of rent. I can literally take you for a walk north of where I live, 5 minutes, and show you an apartment complex where, during the period when they were constructing, rebuilding, the new Kensington, and there was that construction boom around Barbados, late 2006, 7, an apartment complex where young men shared, how should I put it, a bed. But so one worked in the day, one worked at night. So somebody would sleep in the bed in the day, and somebody else would sleep at night. You hear of bunk beds and all kinds of things. And that's why earlier I asked about working conditions, because if you think about it, now a person who is, let me put it this way, 20 Barbados dollars would be the equivalent, a hundred, a dollar is 100 Ghana dollars, for example. So 20 would be $2,000, if my math is correct. Um, that might have been not too bad before. I can tell you that in my most recent visit to Ghana, which was last year, I saw significant rise in prices, which probably reflects what's happening in the economy. Similarly, I'm not sure was the current exchange rate for the Jamaica dollar, but so a remittance, a small remittance, when you do the currency transfer, may be reasonable. I mean, better than nothing sending home. My concern is when you look at that pay, if that is, as you say, the person has to cover his or her expenses from that, then it makes it difficult for that person to survive on legitimate income. And I stress legitimate income because the temptation would be for people to get involved in activities that, I remember as the officer, minister, sorry, responsible for immigration, having applications by young women for work in agriculture. And then you would discover that the persons came in and maybe turned up, and then the people come back applying again. And then you ask the question, the people just absconded because the intention was not to come and work in agriculture.
In any
But
case.
then you would find them dancing in clubs or worse.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole exploitation. So when you look at this and we talk about managed migration, when we talk about the importance of monitoring, because I mean the where people are looking to escape poverty and unemployment in their homeland, they can be subject to exploitation here. Unscrupulous employers, as you say, who are paying below rates, or who may say, we will provide accommodation and you get a lower gross and net pay, but then you check the quality of the accommodation and it is not up to par. People's passports were taken away. I've spoken previously of a young man who I came to know very well when I traveled to Guyana. And I was trying to see if I could recover for him money owed to him. He left, and out of frustration, left being owed money. And they explained to me the conditions under which he found himself working.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that as much as people sought to criticize me, one of the discussions I had with my then counterpart in Ghana was the whole issue of this matter of exploitation, etc., because this was something we had to tackle. And then, of course, on her end, she had to say to people, you just don't turn up and decide you like the country, you're not leaving. But we also had to consider the dangers of exploitation of people who were seeking to improve their financial situation.
Yeah.
So it is okay. Marcia, I see a comment here quickly. So Maxine, what can you say about the Chinese quarters been a long
Short comment is because it's 10:10, so I try not to go too much over. Okay. So
Okay.
we go.
Now, well, this is an issue. I can tell you that there were issues and concerns which had to be addressed during the time that I was aware of conditions where Chinese were residing on work sites, and people had to be called in to deal with those issues because there were a number of what I would call violations, conditions which were not acceptable within the context of what we considered appropriate in Barbados.
Yes.